Yep, it's finally happening. We're talking about Sabella or The Bloodstone by Tanith Lee. Welcome to Dad Like Book, and welcome to one of the best books I have ever read. This book rocks, and it is hardcore, man. Um, Matt over at Book Pilled basically told everybody to go read this, and this corner of BookTube kind of exploded with this DAW copy being sought after, and luckily I had a copy, and I also had what I didn't know contained Sabella and also Kill the Dead, but this two part, not two part, but it's an omnibus. Sometimes After Sunset by Tanith Lee, a book club. But I mostly read this version of Sabella because these DAWs are apparently quite valuable now. And so what do? I bring it outside in the scalding heat of July. Touche. Go figure, whatever this phrase is. Um, yeah, I just finished Sabella yesterday, and holy cow, what an ending. The difficult part about a book like this is that I want to tell you so much about the plot twists and the deep themes and how they relate to the incredible character development that goes on here. But I also have to be careful because I don't want to spoil anything for you. The difficulty that I've found in being on BookTube and doing some of these reviews is you can do a spoiler free or slight spoilers review of something, but it just feels kind of like you're sort of glossing over things. And while I'm not going to do a deep dive into this entire book because I want you to experience it for yourself, I do want to explore some of the themes. So be warned, this is a very special book, in my opinion, and one that you truly should go find. I echo Matt's sentiment over at Book Pilled. Great book, and I'm very glad that I took his advice to read it. So stop the video, please. Stop the video if you haven't read this book because I will be talking about spoilers. I don't want to ruin this book for you. I want you to experience it for yourself. That out of the way, we follow our main character, Sabella, as you would imagine. I'll just keep holding this up so you can view the beautiful cover art. And she has a pendant, a red pendant around her neck, and we kind of learn that she is a space vampire on a planet called Novo Mars. Um, it's sort of Mars-like colony, a pink atmospheric kind of. I pictured it just like Arizona or something, like the red dirt of some place like that, scalding heat, and she's got to stay out of she's got to stay out of the sunlight. She is vampiric and feeds on the blood of young men. And the real interesting themes that kind of converge with that are Tanith Lee is a master at exploring kind of the personal, inner working feelings about the self. Um, Through this first person narrative, we see things through everything through Sabella's point of view, and it is written in a way. I hate to use, um, you know, Matt's comparison of Joanna Russ, but when I read We Who Are About to, there's such a closeness that we have to that main character in that book and the main character we have in Sabella here, where it's hard to reach that kind of closeness to the character. It was stark and very, very striking. It was powerful. Um, and so through Sabella's eyes, we're seeing her struggle with her own sexuality as she kind of seduces these young men only to kind of draw from them their blood and not really giving herself. She's shielding herself. So there's some kind of underlying themes of prostitution there and selling yourself for money and for at this with this kind of thing for your literal like survival. um and the main kind of crux of the tension comes from when she interacts with this young man named Sand at her aunt Cassie's funeral. Her aunt Cassie's passed away, her mom's sister, and her aunt Cassie discovers a secret about Sabella, which we find out later how she discovered. But she finds out that Sabella has committed murders and killed her mom, ultimately, and there's these interstitial fragmented moments where we go back in time and view things from Sabella's childhood and her past, and we learn why she kind of is the way she is. And you have tons of sympathy for her, even though she's kind of practicing some of these kind of awful things with vampirism. Um, there's a sympathy that I think is so earned in this book, and Sabella just you kind of your heart breaks for her because her dad passed away when she was young. Her mom and her have this kind of tumultuous relationship. That's to put it lightly. Um, so after her mom dies and Sabella kind of goes off as a recluse, she goes to this funeral when she realizes her Aunt Cassie has a kind of gift for her at the funeral, and it's money as well as a kind of message that tells her that she's found out her secret. And so this young man named Sand is at the funeral, and he kind of follows Sabella, and they have an interaction, and she drinks his blood, and it takes it too far. She hasn't killed a young man through vampirism in a long time, but she kills Sand, and it's this really dark, kind of haunting moment in the book, and she has to figure out a way to get rid of the body. So she does so, and there's three parts to this book. That's kind of the summary of the first part. The second part deals with her interactions with Sand's brother, Jace, who is this really, really evil feeling character. Like, there is a the psychoticness, that's not a word. What am I trying to say? The insanity of Jace just like sears off the page in this section where you are totally, he is unhinged, but yet he seems to have a plan, and he comes after Sabella because he basically traces that she had something to do with Sand's disappearance. And they're kind of back and forth here where Sand actually takes her hostage and threatens to kill her, and there's this really back and forth that's just uncomfortable to read about. Um, and so it's not, the second part was really, I wouldn't say very enjoyable to read, but I couldn't stop reading it. Um, Jace is Jace and Sabella are such realized characters that it it, it makes me, I can't hardly put into words how impressed I am by Tanith Lee. I've read several books by her now, a couple of short stories. She has not let me down once, and I'm sure that there are books out there that are better than others by her, and maybe she's not for everybody, but I'm getting off on a tangent here, but my gosh, her work is so impressive and so enveloping. You are just inside of her mind and her poetic prose and darkness throughout the whole book. It doesn't let up. Um, and so her and Jace kind of have this back and forth, and she escapes at the end of part two and becomes Sarah Holland away in a different city on Nova Mars. She flees and just plans to start a new life. And this is where I think Tanith Lee does some of the best character work of the whole book, because um, the dichotomy between her kind of new identity as Sarah Holland, a woman who does the same thing. She's a vampire, but she's different name, different kind of appearance, and also I like mentally Sabella seems to break away from her past and is like, I'm Sarah now. I'm a new, like, it's almost like she's having this break from her identity. And with this identity crisis comes what I think some of the deepest themes of the book are, which are like um, repression and kind of love in the sense in a relationship that is a symbiosis rather than one controlling the other. And her character work in this section, like I said, is just tremendous. But um, as she's this other person, we learn all these crazy things about her past, and this is where the book really got just jaw dropping. And I read it in one sitting. It was unbelievable. The third part I read in one sitting, and it was so good. Um, Again, if you're this far in, you've been spoiled 2/3 of the book. But if you really don't want the plot twist, stop now. Uh, because we learn Jace kind of follows her to the town that she's in. Ares, I think, is the town she's in here, and she goes to church, and there's a lot of religious themes and religious repression in this book, and it's fully realized here, where she goes to a church and meets this. I think he's like an organist, and um, the organist takes her down to this museum, and she finds all these relics of the town's history of how there was alien artifacts dug up, and then two sets of bones from people in the town, one of them being hers. Huh? So she's apparently dead? It's nuts. And it does fit together in the end. It's a little bit jarring, and you just can't help but be stunned a little bit by the twist that it takes. But it's so satisfying to see her then drop her guard and realize that Jace is kind of this other person that she's been seeking. It's hard to read that because Jace kind of tormented her a little bit, but I think also there's this um, connection that they have always had, because I guess that they're the only two people who are like actually aliens. I know that that's kind of a hard left that came out of nowhere, but if you read the book, you'll know what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to try to explain all of the plot twist. It functions largely as a really cool moment in the book, and to kind of wrap up this, what is essentially a really, it branches out. The story could branch out completely, but Tanith Lee decides to rein it in a little bit here. And Jace and her kind of have this safety in their relationship, where then the book just kind of closes on a note of, well, if we have kids someday, um, the first shall be last is like the last sentiment there. And so there's this, again, echoing of religious sentiments. And yeah, I'm kind of in my own head now about how to describe anymore, but golly, it's so good. I'm gonna try to stop talking, because I really do want to leave this review as relatively short. I don't know how long we've been going. I'm doing it all one take. Um, Also, it's insanely hot out here. It's like 95 degrees. I'm luckily under the shade, but um, whatever. Sabella is a near perfect book. I don't know if I can quite say it's perfect, but it has so many cool elements to it. It's so well done. It's I think one thing that I've found after reading, I don't know how many books I've read in the last year or two, but quite a few of this time period and genre. And I've found that I think my favorites, maybe not the best, but my favorite books to read are the ones that hold my attention the most. And usually they come in small 200 page, paperbacks, and are just lightning fast because they do not let up. Don't get me wrong, I had a blast reading a book like Lonesome Dove, a few months ago. It was the long, character driven journey that was so fun to sit in. But my favorite books are ones like these, where it is you're hurtling down the highway at 100 miles an hour, and you are waiting to see if you can stop safely, or if you are going to crash into 15 other cars. It feels like that kind of energy. Couple other books have done that to me, but truly, Tanith Lee has a gift. Her work really should be talked about more, and it is getting plenty of traction in this area of booktube. But I just can't impress upon you enough to go read this book, Sabella or the Bloodstone. If you can get a hold of the dog, great. This is a sick book, and I'm really glad I own it. Um, if you can't and you really want to find it, there are some of these Sometimes After Sunset book club editions that are on eBay, I think, and you can get it for much less than the DAW. So I would encourage you to go find it if you like Tanith Lee. If any of this sounds really really good to you, to read, go find it. It's great. I'm gonna Last thing I'll say, it's dark and it's heavy. Um, don't just think that this is like a fun wild ride that's a light, book. Tanith Lee writes with a heavy a heavy hand, not in the literary sense, but in a I'm going to punch you in the face with these themes. I'm not going to. Um, I said that kind of clunky. She doesn't hold back, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And so be aware. She writes with a fierceness, and it is awesome. So with that, I don't even want to give it a grade. It's just a wonderful book. I'm so glad I read it. Here's to more Tanith Lee on the channel, because she'll keep getting coverage by me at least. But I hope you go read her. I hope you go experience some of her work, especially this one. Thanks for watching. I've been Dad Like Book. Have a safe 4th of July. I don't know when this is going out, but appreciate all of you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.